Welcome to Rock and Roll Shin-Soo Chu. My name is Gabe Estel, and I'm here with my co-hosts Jonathan Getz and Dennis Levi Leach. How's it going, guys?
Hola.
Amazing.
Good.
Amazing.
Glad to hear it. That's what I like to hear. Superlatives, damn it.
In Spanish.
Anyway, well, it's good to be back, guys. And obviously a lot has gone on in the baseball world since we recorded our most recent episode, episode 33. If you haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, I suggest you do.
Yeah, Gabe, don't know if you know, but they're still playing baseball. Levi and I have been having to keep up with it.
Cute. Yeah, not a lot to talk about with the White Sox, but that's okay because it's all eyes on your teams right now. This is being recorded, probably the next episode that we record, it'll probably be all done by then. But anyway, the Cubs are down 0-2, I'm sorry, I should say, 2-game deficit to the Mets. Levi, how are you feeling right now? What is the temperature like?
I'll admit, last night, right away, it was like 3-0 first inning.
Yeah, when he gives up that dinger, are you just bumming?
TV was turned off at that point.
Ooh.
Yeah. I was just like, yep.
Radio feed or?
Like, I don't know, about 40 minutes later, I turned it back on. It was still 3-0, and I was just like, yep. And
Daniel Murphy's clutch, man.
Yeah,
Go figure.
Yeah.
Part of me is like, yes, I really fucking want them to do good, but the realist in me knows that they're not ready.
Sure.
I don't think they don't have the fucking pitching to carry him in a series right now.
I mean, who would have thought that Arrieta would all of a sudden just start shutting down?
True.
God, it was bound to happen sometime.
Yeah.
He's kicking so much butt for so long.
Yeah. So
bad timing.
Part of it is that, and part of it is meeting a hitter that's on a hot streak.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, that Daniel Murphy guy is.
Yeah, no,
he's in the zone right now, and unfortunately, not too many of our guys are.
Daniel Murphy's hit home runs off of Clayton Kershaw's twice, Zach Greinke, John Lester, and Jake Arrieta.
Yeah. So obviously this guy can hit good pitching in the playoffs.
For some reason, all of a sudden.
Yeah, because he's just kind of a slightly above average player, really. Yeah.
His career high in home runs, which he hit this year, was 15.
Right. He's not a superstar. I mean, he's a good player, but
he's just coming through in the clutch, and it's just one of those October things.
Yeah, right.
It's
a Paul O'Neill. You know what I mean?
It's like some guy you've never heard of, and you're like, what?
Yeah. You're right there. He's an October superstar. Every season's got one, just about. So
I'm at the point where anything past the Cardinals is gravy on the potatoes, man.
We've already won.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I was hearing a lot of the Cubs radio was really confident after that series win over the Cardinals. Like they were all saying that they were going to be the favorites to win the series.
Well, and that's just it. When you beat the
cream of the crop.
When you beat the statistical best team on paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it was weird. Like everybody expected them to almost. It felt like the Cubs seemed to be the favorite, like the under the table favorite.
And since they won that, they're the favorite, I think, to win the World Series, or they were at the beginning of the NLCS.
The talk started, after once they got going against St. Louis.
Vetter was up and cheering in the owner's box with Theo.
What's that Vetter you said in the owner?
Yeah, man, yeah.
Vetter's all over the place.
Oh yeah. Interviewed in the Tribune.
At the party Lester had at his house, and there's you can barely see it's Vetter playing acoustic guitar for the Cubs players.
Yeah, some shadowy faces.
Yeah.
Yep. He's along for the ride.
Yeah, he is.
Although they're going down to Brazil, Pearl Jam's going to tour Brazil, so they got to bail.
If they actually make the World Series, he's going to miss it.
Yeah. He vowed that Pearl Jam would never slate another tour in October again.
Precautions.
Oh man, I remember when he wore a Sox hat that Jack McDowell gave him.
Oh right, yeah. He wore it for the SNL photo shoot. Not to get too geeky there, but
he also had for breakfast that day. Anyway, well, Jonathan, I mean, obviously your
Royals kicking butt.
Your two games up as opposed to 2 games down.
New boss, same as the old boss. I think what they were able to do against the Astros coming back was pretty remarkable. It was coming back in that 4th game. It was on par with what they were able to do against the A's last year in the wild card game. And then they were just, those first couple games against the Blue Jays, game 2, they just stuck with it and came back and singled them to death.
Yeah,
nickeled and dimed them.
Yeah. Game 2 was a good game, man. Yeah.
Yeah, but
that's the only one I've been able to watch almost.
Really?
All. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and it was such a weird time too. The weird shadows because MLB scheduled it. MLB is totally favoring the Cubs and Mets series because the Royals play during the day. Both games 4 and 5 are during the day. So it won't be a very productive week here in Kansas City for the workforce.
Right.
But Johnny Cueto getting knocked around in game 3 here. It's going to be interesting if it goes to a game 7. What that's going to mean for who starts game 7. But worst of all is I have tickets next week during the World Series, potential games 4 and 7. I have tickets for concerts both of those nights.
There are worse problems to have.
I know. Of Montreal, Dan Coffey, or game 4, or Telekinesis and Say Hi, or game 7 on Halloween. That's going to be tough.
Well, you've got the 2 things that this podcast
first world
discusses.
Problems in Kansas City.
Right. Baseball and rock and roll. You're both living in the world.
The shows are at the Record Bar, and they have an old CRT, a television, old school. So we'll all be craning our necks on that thing in between songs.
I'll mention it because, God, I don't know. It seems like old news now, and obviously it's been eclipsed by the championship series. But I guess I'd be remiss if we didn't talk slightly about, or just a bit about the Utley slide. I know it seems like ancient history now, but
and it is not a 1990s country dance move,
right? The Utley slide.
It might be actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I never viewed him as a dirty player. He'd always been.
Gabe, he's a hard. He plays hard, not dirty.
Yes, right. Honestly, I the Phillies have been pretty bad these last few years, so he's kind of, and he's in the twilight of his career. But this kind of catapulted his name back into the spotlight for a brief period. Do you guys think the punishment was fair? I mean, or do you guys think he should have been punished more severely?
Well, I mean, I think that there should be a rule in place, but there hasn't been a rule for the last 120 years. So all of a sudden, you're going to punish somebody for doing something that's been done for 120 years. They should have put the rule in place when they put in the Buster Posey catcher's rule. But baseball is so slow and reactionary rather than being proactive that they blew it anyway.
That's a good point.
Yeah, they're definitely not precautionary.
No. And then the Dodgers are out of it now, so it's like it faded. I mean,
yeah. I mean, as soon as they lost, it was like you heard nothing about it again.
Yeah, all the attention shifted to the Cubs and the Mets. So yeah, I just wanted to get your take. I mean, I
think it was late. I think it was a late.
Oh yeah, it's bush league stuff, but there's no rule. There's no explicit rule against it, and they really should have implemented that when they implemented the catcher's rule.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw, there was a tweet by oh God, he plays for the Padres, one of like the 900 guys they got last year, Justin Upton. He said if it was if this would have been him sliding into a superstar shortstop, it would have gotten more attention, or like they would have changed. They would have like.
It already got a lot of attention.
I know, so I didn't really get it because he's like, what if this was, if he would have slid into Troy Tulowitzki, this would have been, a rule right away.
He was suspended.
Yeah,
he appealed it, but he was suspended. So what's
right? It was just a tweet I read, and I thought it was, it got me thinking for a second, but then I was like, well, I don't know. It seemed like all eyes were on this for 24 hours. Absolutely. At least,
I mean, at least I lived
over the sports world for a day or two.
Yeah, and quite honestly, he wouldn't have played in the next 2 games if it weren't for Justin Upton's players association that allows for Utley to appeal such a suspension.
Right.
So if he wants to question it, he should go to his own players association and ask them about it.
Yeah, he's probably pissed off he's not in the playoffs anyway.
Yeah, far away from it.
Yeah. Well, it's cool. So, seriously, guys, and I mean this. I know I don't. I got one team. One of your teams in my division and another in the same town. But I wish you well. I wish you well. I do. It would be nice to see both of your teams in the World Series. That would be a lot of fun for the podcast.
It would be. It's weird to think that the Royals are going to beat either the Mets or the Cubs in the World Series. It's going to be a strange feeling.
Well, yeah, if you would have told me a year ago, it's going to be the Cubs or the Mets and the NL, I'd have been like, what?
Yeah.
A year ago I knew the Cubs were laying the foundation for something, but just, for it to be ready this soon. The Mets, they don't have anyone on par with Arrieta, but they've got a better rotation top to bottom. That's
for sure.
That's
yeah. Their 2, 3, 4 pitchers are a lot better than I would say are. Obviously Lester and Arrieta are the top two, but after them,
it's like who?
Our 3 after them compared to their 3 after the first after Harvey and was it Syndergaard?
Syndergaard, DeGrom.
DeGrom's really the ace.
They got 3 studs,
Yeah, and the bullpen, all the guys in the bullpen throw heat.
Yeah,
Familia. You know what I mean? And so
La Familia.
Yeah. La Familia.
Yes. Plesac loves Familia.
He does. Yeah. And one thing about the Mets too, a guy that we've talked about it, I think, on this podcast before. It's a little bit of a mystery why he switched teams so many times. Something must be up. But Cespedes has been he tore it up for the Mets at the end of the year. I don't know if you guys.
He got him he helped get them into the playoffs.
If you look at his numbers when he got traded to the Mets, it was like something like it was near the trade deadline, so they're like I don't know, like 50 games left, right? 55 games left. It would have been like a good full season. The numbers, you know what I mean? He had like 17 home runs, like 50 some RBIs. Yeah. He hit like 280 or something. Yeah. He's good. And like I said, he's a guy that I don't know if it's a clubhouse.
He's a pain in the ass in the clubhouse.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
I
Boston,
can't, but I've
A's,
heard.
Boston.
Yeah.
Detroit.
I mean, like a young guy who has just a rocket for an arm and can hit. The average isn't always there, but he's got pop. 4 teams in 2 years.
Really, just 4 teams in a year and a half or something.
I'd take him in a heartbeat. I don't give a shit. Whatever, if he can work it out in the club.
Just glad I'm not a fan. I got to keep up with all those cards.
Yeah, right, huh? Yeah, he's definitely modeled a few uniforms. And he's a free agent, I assume. So
I think so. Yeah.
Be in another one, I would next year, unless the Mets re-sign him.
They probably should.
I would
if they want a face to their offense.
From this sample of play, I think he deserves the contract.
Yeah.
Whatever he gets. So anyway, but moving on. Good luck going forward, guys. I don't really have much to talk about. I don't know, Levi, if you saw this. A buddy of mine posted this on Facebook, and I thought it was, as he mentioned, my buddy said, a class move. The White Sox on the giant screen at Comiskey said, "Congratulations, Cubs. Good luck in the NLCS."
Oh yeah, during the last game or something.
When they beat the Cardinals.
Huh.
It was just, you could see it from the interstate. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You could see it from
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh. Yeah. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The White Sox, they'll give you a shout out when nobody's in that stadium.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Backhanded. All right. But, yeah. Yeah. Speaking of which, we're getting 3 new jumbotrons next year.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go. Classing up the joint.
Are they all going to have the spinners?
Yeah, they're keeping the spinners. Yeah, I hope. So I don't know. Whatever. I'd rather spend that money on the field. There's going to be like $7 million. It's like, we get a little bit of bullpen help for that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so as our listeners may know, Levi has relocated to Colorado. We've been there, what, 2-3 months now, Levi? Something like that?
Yeah, since the beginning of August.
Okay, great. Having fun, beautiful area.
Oh, yeah.
And he's been working some shows in Boulder, and he was lucky enough to work 2 nights of Greg Allman, right? Which segues into the focus of tonight. We're going to talk about Southern rock, kind of what that really even means, sort of how it's evolved over the years, maybe even some of the problems with it we'll talk about as well. I certainly have, some things to say good and bad about Southern rock. But Levi, why don't you tell us a little bit about the shows, man? What was it like?
Well, yeah, I'm a stagehand tech, and so for this show, I was, we unload all their gear into the Boulder Theater, which is a great little Art Deco type theater.
Mm-hmm. How does it hold?
To be honest, I do not know.
Yeah, you're like under 2,000.
Yeah. I don't even know if it's like 1,000 or 1,200 even.
Nice.
It's not a big place, and it's like I said, they've left all the like 1950s Art Deco type of style to it.
Cool.
And so it was really neat. And I got to help set Greg Allman's organ, and he actually had 2 of them. They tour with a spare Hammond B3, and the tech said the night before they had to actually break it out and use it because the main organ quit in the middle of a song.
Ah,
wow.
So yeah, that's I guess why you always pull 2 Hammonds off the bus.
So where do they, when they have to swap it out, does he just go to another organ, or do they literally move it off the stage and move the other one on?
They're both sitting in little flat dollies. So yeah, I mean, if one dies, you can unhook it, wheel it off into the wing where the other one is sitting, and then you wheel that one back out. And so later that day, I asked again about it a little bit when we had a break, and the tech said that it ended up actually being the Leslie. The Leslie had gone out, and the Leslie, for those that don't know, is a giant rotating speaker that you use in conjunction with a Hammond organ. Mm-hmm. It gives it the I don't know, the typical like whoosh,
whirly.
Whoosh, whoosh. Yeah, the whirly sound. And so he had that day there, once we got everything kind of set, he retubed the Leslie while we were there.
Wow.
So yeah, it was cool to kind of watch that. One other note, the opening act both nights was Richie Fury from Buffalo, Springfield, and Poco fame.
No kidding.
Who I guess is a resident of the Boulder area.
He was a minister in the 80s. I don't know if he's still practicing. Yeah.
And so
he's an important guy, man. I mean, if you look to the sound, yeah.
Even there was a record he did, I think it was called like the Fury Hillman.
Yeah, with Chris Hillman, yeah.
Yeah, right. Fury Hillman Band, I think. And so yeah, that was neat. It was kind of cool to have like 2 classic rock guys there together. And
I've always found Poco really underrated too, by the way. But go on.
He still sounded really good. Richie Fury did, and Greg Allman still sounds okay. I mean, by today, like if you were someone who's never heard Greg Allman before, you would be like, yeah, it was really good. Like, I'm not saying it was bad, but like I saw Greg Allman in like the mid 90s or like, late 90s, and I could tell his voice was a little more booming then.
Sure.
And obviously it's age, and I think he's had like liver surgery or he's had one of those surgeries, kidneys or liver or something.
He's a weathered guy, definitely.
Yeah. And so it was just neat to kind of be a part of it all. Oh. We broke a loadout record of them. We had them all loaded out onto their semi and everything, and it was like 56 minutes or something.
Levi gets it done.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
In the business,
there's back on the road, buddy.
There's a motto, and it goes, "It's all about the out." All about the out.
Nice. Yeah, both of those shows sold out too, right?
I believe so.
I think so. I like Greg on Facebook, and I think or Instagram, one of the two, and he had posted that. I think they were sold out. So,
is this possible that the capacity would be only 850?
like I said, I didn't even know if it held 1,000. So yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah, it's saying online 850.
Yeah, so
wow,
it's an intimate place, man.
Wow.
It really is.
That's cool. That is cool. And this is, I guess, a good transition to the topic. To me, I was thinking kind of like, who is the father of Southern rock, as most people know it, I guess. And it's probably him. I mean, him and his brother, at least.
Well, yeah. I would say
it all starts with the Allmans.
Oh yeah, pretty much.
I mean, there's influences in the Allmans, but I mean, the Allmans are influenced by everybody from Coltrane to Otis Redding to Wilson Pickett.
Once the Allmans got signed, then it was like the dominoes fell. It was
Absolutely.
like, then after them it was Skinner, then it was any of those
Outlaws,
bands coming out of that
Polyhats,
Jacksonville,
Webb-Billy.
Florida.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, the Allmans definitely exemplify. I mean, well, I shouldn't say they were the first Southern rock band, as most people know Southern rock. I mean, I'm sure there were some others that never got the attention that the Allmans did, but yeah, they and I was thinking about what classifies Southern rock.
Yeah, right.
Other than the region, obviously.
But even the region.
Well, yeah, like just because I'm in a band from Key West, Florida, does that mean I'm in Southern rock?
Right. And Texas is different. Like Texas Texas is kind of the South, but it's kind of not. It's got its own unique culture that's different than some of the Deep South.
I know of zero bands that come out of New Orleans and call themselves Southern.
Right,
exactly.
right. And it's kind of strange to think that the Allmans are from Florida.
Right? Yeah.
Like originally from Florida, and then they kind of moved to Georgia.
Yeah.
Skinner's from Florida too. Skinner's from Jacksonville.
Tom Petty's
from
Southern
Gainesville.
Rock.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and he's not normally lumped in with all of those bands. Yeah. So kind of like what classifies what makes it other than the region, and the only thing I could really come up with, and I'm curious to get you guys' take, is there's a strand of the Allman Brothers in the sound. You know what I mean? Like it might be just a pinch, or it might be a whole big, ladle full of it.
If I'm gonna go like just prototypical, if I had to define it, I would say harmony guitar parts.
Yes.
Are vital.
Yeah.
I think a piano is probably, you got to have somebody on a piano.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I think you can kind of spice it up other ways. Some have like a sax player. Some have 3 guitars. Some have. I was always a fan of backup singers, so I think I might make that a requirement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a gospel influence.
Yeah,
to a certain degree. I mean, some larger than others, but yeah.
And Levi, I was going to say exactly what you said in terms of guitars and pianos. And to add to that, it's more this kind of ethereal like attitude. I think there's an attitude that goes along with it. Obviously, like the extreme of that attitude is, say, Skinnerd.
Right.
But then there's
at least modern day Skinnerd.
Yeah. Then there's like a more subtle attitude about it. Just like a general defiance, I guess. That maybe like Chris Robinson would always bring to the stage, and he still brings to the stage.
Sort of a middle finger to the establishment.
Yeah, like a definite rebel,
right.
And not in the term of actually like a Southern rebel,
right.
Without like draping the flag around you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But they definitely had that attitude for sure.
And I think talking about like draping the flag around it. I mean, shit, it's unfortunate, but inevitably it comes up with Southern rock. A lot of bands, when you mention it, they kind of want to eschew the label, and a part of me doesn't blame them. You know what I mean? Because I think the Crow, one of our favorite bands, the Black Crowes, always eschewed the label because of probably what people associate with Southern rock.
Right.
Which to many people, and this isn't necessarily dumb rednecks. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean that's what people have in their and so I could see why a band like the Crows, who have a lot of different influences that I think a lot of people that don't listen to them regularly don't really hear. I could see why they'd run in the other direction when you put that label on somebody. So I don't blame them, because you think of Southern rock sometimes, and I mean this respectfully because I like Molly Hatchet, but you think of that, or even Skinner to a certain degree.
38 Special.
38 Special, right? Yeah. Some of the, gosh, I'm trying to think of too strong. Some of it that's so in your face.
Well, it's the stereotypical, like they're the ones that have the flags on the album covers, and
right.
You know what I mean? It
just really heavy-handed.
Majority of the songs are like boozing, cruising, women.
Yeah, you don't hear that in the Black Crows or Widespread Panic.
No, I mean, it's not like none of those
hey, REM's from Athens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's not like those, like REM or the Crows never had songs about partying or anything.
Sure.
It's just the way they
presented it.
Yeah. Well, I agree definitely that if the Allmans started it kind of like got taken somewhere else by like Skinnerd kind of like took it more to the forefront of mainstream. Mm-hmm. I would say they were the most popular, obviously, Southern rock band.
It was less jazzy than the Allmans, like more radio friendly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and to get deep nerdy on Skinnerd, like I really would have liked to heard the album after Street Survivors.
Me too.
Because there are parts of that record that have kind of like jazzy rock fusion type influences.
Yeah.
Well, let's focus on Skinnerd for a little bit, guys, because they do. We can always hop back to the other acts that we were talking about.
Well, I figure we need to get the big one out of the way.
Yeah,
that's Skinnerd.
I'll say this because I am going to say some harsh things about Skinnerd, newer Skinnerd here in a little bit. And I know Jonathan's probably got some of them as well. But I want to say this, like I preface this with, I love the original Lynyrd Skynyrd. I like the golden era. I mean, I think they're one of the best bands of all time. Like what the material, the density of the material they put out within basically 4 or 5 years. 73 to 77. I mean, stands up with anybody.
Yeah,
they're the Beatles of Southern rock. Absolutely.
I mean, I don't like from the golden era pre-Crash. I don't think they have a bad song.
No.
Yeah, those albums are. I've
listened to all the album. What's that?
Those albums are just packed.
They're awesome. They're awesome records, and just the and like I'm with Levi when he says what they would have done after Street Survivors. It breaks my heart as well because I think Steve Gaines was such a great addition to the band and such a good guitarist. To have him and Gary and Alan Collins is one of my favorite guitarists, particularly his stage presence as well, just the gangly fucker just jumping up and down, and it's as much as I don't like what New Skinnyrd's done. It's just a band that's just had so much tragedy happen to it, even after the Crash. With Alan getting in the car accident and Leon dying, and then Billy dying a couple of years ago, Billy Powell and Leon Wilkerson. They've for what's left of them, they've obviously they're road warriors and they've got a lot of scars.
And I mean, I can see it from a perspective of being like a guy backstage. You know what I mean? And so the thing I want to give them credit for is that when you're in a band and you're in a situation like that, you're a family, and so they kept that family together,
right?
Yeah, through all that bullshit.
Yeah,
and so you know what I mean. And throughout all the years, like if the guys were able to play or weren't in trouble for nailing underage girls, Artemis, like they would try and get you in the band. And if it couldn't work, it didn't work. But that was the Skynyrd family, and I mean, for better or worse, they needed a fucking paycheck, and so they kept the family together. Yeah. And so I thought it was cool how they kind of turned it into a resting area for like Southern rock heroes.
Huey Thomasman was in Skynyrd.
Oh yeah, and then they got Medlock from Blackfoot.
Right.
Who,
he almost kind of counts as an original member.
Yeah, like he jammed with them originally,
know.
And
he was in Blackfoot.
But I think that was kind of neat how they invited other Southern rock icons to be with them.
Yeah.
Just because it was a family. And nowadays, I don't like their I don't know. I just don't like their vibe or what their stereotype they've become.
Exactly.
They become like a bloated version of their old self.
Yes. Yeah.
Some things are better left. Some things need to end at some point, and this is one of those that never did. And it was kind of like this with the Dead, man. If you were really into the Dead and you liked them in the 70s and 80s, and it was like 1994, early 95, you were like, dude, they need to give it fucking up. Like, Jerry's wore the fuck out.
Right.
And so, to me, this is kind of how Skinner is, man. I heard Gary Rosington, I think, had a heart attack or something.
He did, yeah. And I wish him well.
God bless him.
Yeah. It's tough, man.
At the end of the day, you always need a paycheck. You gotta put food on the table for your family and shit.
Yeah, I mean, shit, he was probably 28 years old when that crash happened. You know, what the hell else was he supposed to do? Yeah. I get it. And they took a break. I mean, they didn't come back until be the band they are today until like 87 or 88.
The Rosington Collins album, I want to say, is awesome.
I like that Gary Rosington Collins, or
it's got that Dale Krantz
as well.
The female vocalist on it as well.
Yeah, and so I'm with you. I mean, when there's like a legacy act like that, I don't blame surviving members for going on like I used to, because you have families, like you do what you need to do. It's not like Gary Rossington had a law degree to fall back on or something, Well,
yeah, I get it. The thing is, we just have such an emotional connection to the old.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And so it's sad to see what it's become now.
Well, if you go see them live, they're just going to play those old songs.
Right.
For a band that puts out a lot of new material, they sure in the hell, in an era when CDs don't sell, they sure in the hell, they don't play any of those songs live.
Oh, yeah. Play the hits.
I listened to some of their recent material today while I was working.
Me too.
And I... an album called God and Guns. Listen, I'll be the first to admit, a little bias here. I probably didn't like the album before I even heard a note of it. All right, it's called God and Guns, for God's sakes. All right.
Might as well at the end said brought to you by NASCAR.
It's so I have to say, it's so fucking terrible. It's like new country. It's trite. It's like it's stereotypical. It's
if you didn't look at it, you wouldn't have known who it was.
No. And listen, I don't expect them to sound like 1976. They're older. Nobody except for Gary is in the band who was an original member. And most artists, no matter how talented they are, it's kind of lightning in a jar. You know what I mean? That's why a new Who record isn't going to sound that good in 2015. That's why.
But at least it still kind of sounds like
it's not that funny anymore, because he's not 22 and he's not hungry for it. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just anyway. I'm sorry. Yeah. But anyway, I listened to God and Guns today at work, and it's so awful. It's just I'll say here, and I listened to it, and Jonathan probably listened to it in the same way on our DO.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely didn't buy the thing. But I just want to read a couple sentences from this RDO review of it, because I think this dude, Steve Leggett, whoever that is, said it pretty well, like kind of like the old Skinnerd versus the new Skinnerd. He says here, I'm sorry here, but he's talking about this album here. But what's missing, unfortunately, is compassion and heart. Two qualities that were the secret ingredients in Ronnie Van Zant's singing. Johnny sounds like him, sure, but where Ronnie came across slightly disappointed, wounded, and God forbid regretful underneath his swagger, Johnny comes across like an archetype of a southern redneck, convinced that America is all about guns and God. One assumes Ronnie would wonder if those two things were ever a good idea to mix in the first place. Fucking A. That's writing.
Yeah. There are some good reviews. I'm assuming kind of pseudo amateur reviews on RDO that are well done.
Because that's not a guy that's like, this is dumb rednecks. Skinnerd is dumb. You know what I mean? That's a guy that's like,
he's knowledgeable.
He gets what Ronnie was trying to say. And Ronnie Van Zant was a hell of a songwriter and just a storyteller, really. And a guy who wasn't for lack of a better term, a dumb redneck. You know, like he was. Ronnie Van Zant was a sharp dude. You know, his dig at Neil Young, even one of our favorite musicians, was clever.
Yeah.
And and not as
and it was kind of tongue in cheek
as people thought it was.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Fuck, Neil got a kick out of it. You know, I mean, so yeah. It was a good retort, you know, for I think for two artists I admire tremendously. So.
Yeah, and I think, you know, one of the things that bothered me about that album was just the sound of it.
Yeah.
The sound of the vocals and the guitars. It didn't have another important element, I think, of Southern rock, which is kind of a production style that gives enough room to have multiple guitars and to really let those vocals breathe and be a bit more personal. But on the God and Guns, it was really in your face and just hard rock production value, like hard rock production value.
Like Nickelback sounding shit.
Yeah. And so that caught me off guard.
And the lyrical content, I mean, hey, whatever. Your politics your politics don't have to be the same as mine, whatever.
Right.
But like, you know, like one of the songs is called like, you know, This Ain't My America, or this is something like that. It's like, tell me what you mean by that, John. Did that happen? Did that This Isn't My America happen after a certain guy got elected, maybe by any chance? Maybe a certain guy with not the same color of skin as you? Like, is that when the America started to fade, Johnny? Like, fuck you. Like, you know, it's just like it's a Tea Party rally set to music. All right, I mean, it's what it is.
And that's what sucks, is because you want to hope and believe that that's not where this band would have ended up if Ronnie Van Zant was still around.
No, hell no. I mean,
he just seemed to have
Saturday
way too
Night
much
Special, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
You know, it's a song about gun control.
Well, and that's what I mean.
Yeah.
And so,
it is.
And
totally.
Original Skynyrd,
like sensible gun control.
Yeah. Original era Skynyrd like that is the band from the South that made me think that not everybody from the South is like a dumb redneck.
Yeah.
And now what's sad is that they've become the band for dumb rednecks.
Yeah, they have.
Unofficially.
A caricature. Yeah.
And you know what? People, if we piss off by saying this, like, we probably know more about Skynyrd than they do. I'm not going to
have all their original records on the shelf.
Dude, I was listening to the bootleg of Winterland '76 today. All right, so don't give me this shit like I don't. Okay,
Cardiff Wales.
All right,
from Chicago Boy,
my favorite Skynyrd song. Okay, so come on here. All right.
We're talking about what they've become.
Yeah,
that's not where they started.
Yeah, absolutely. You know. I have to admit, I chuckle every time I see Johnny Colt in a photo. But listen, whatever. We all got to do what we got to do. Yep. Johnny, if you're listening, buddy, you're welcome on the podcast anytime. All right. We meant all that stuff about them, not you. All right. So,
obviously.
Yeah.
Tell us about the machine.
I mean, like, Ronnie seemed like just a really deep thinker and smart dude. Johnny kind of seems like a dumbass. Johnny Van Zant, that is.
Well, and the sad part is now Johnny's got more tenure in the band than his brother had.
He's been in the band for 30 years almost now. Yeah. And I'm with Jonathan too, just to jump back to the production values. You know, it's just a really gross sound. If anyone hasn't heard it, the album God and Guns from 2009.
Just, you know, it's
vomit.
To pique your interest. Go give it a spin for 2.5 minutes.
Right.
It really makes you appreciate 70s Skynyrd.
Some people might like. I as I get older, I try to employ that. Well, as long as it makes someone happy attitude. But let's face it, this podcast wouldn't be very fucking interesting if that was the idea we always employed. All right, so
everybody's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's. I think that's encapsulates Skynyrd pretty well.
Well, yeah, and you know,
at least in 2015.
Yeah. I'm gonna do a quick rundown of a few notables that I was gonna mention. That I always thought it was unusual how Molly Hatchet had like Boris Vallejo album covers. Like it was fucking like heavy metal, like
Right.
Don Felder shit. But like you would put the record on and it was like totally not that
Yeah.
kind of music.
Those
I just thought that was so
albums are
fucking
awesome.
weird. Like, but like Molly Hatchet was big. They sold records.
Yeah, what's the story? Like, how did they hook up with that?
I don't know. I don't know how
Somebody in
that
the band
started.
was a big fan.
Didn't Greg produce Flirting with Disaster?
He might have.
Maybe, yeah.
I think he was involved.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was involved somehow with that record from 70. I think it's like 79 or something like that.
There was a band called Cowboy who had a guy named Scott Boyer in it. And Scott Boyer was in this band in like 60, not sure exactly what 60 year. It was in the
Right.
60s. He's in a band with Butch Trucks. It's Butch Trucks' first band, and they were
Oh,
called,
nice.
it's a very 60s band name, the 31st of February.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
totally. Strawberry Alarm Clock, the 31st
Yeah,
of February.
right. Ides of March.
Right?
Yeah,
And
right.
so he ended up, obviously, Butch Trucks ended up playing with Allman Brothers and becoming famous that way. Well, this Scott Boyer got with guy by the last name of Talton, and so you would always see on their records Boyer and Talton, like, as the credits. And they have they got signed to Capricorn, which was the Allman Brothers record label,
Right.
believe it or not.
An important label to the
Oh,
genre.
yeah, in the South,
Oh,
for
One
sure.
essential label to the
Yeah.
genre, really.
Yeah.
And J-Mo is on the record with them, and
The other
I thought
Allman
that
drummer,
was neat
yeah.
how J-Mo gets around. He's on a few of those records,
Yeah.
and a guy by the name of Randall Bramlett plays
Oh,
on
yeah.
it
Mhm.
as well.
Yep.
So it was kind of cool because I'd never heard this band, and so I was
Mhm.
thumbing through the records and I see Cowboy, self-titled. So I flip the back, I see it's on Capricorn. I'm like, well, I've never really hated a Capricorn record. You know what I mean? Like, I've liked most of the artists I've
You
heard.
can't go wrong with any of their 70s stuff.
And so then I saw it was like J-Mo and Randall Bramlett were on it,
Mhm.
and I was like, well, hey. And it's actually, it's part of a genre that I was going to coin, Southern Yacht Rock.
Nice. I
And
like it.
so there's
Yes.
definitely the late 70s, early 80s, there was a vein of Southern Yacht Rock. Bands like Wet Willie were
Mhm.
definitely Southern Yacht Rock. The Amazing Rhythm Aces,
Yeah.
Third Rate Romance, that's definitely Southern Yacht Rock.
Ozark.
Ozark Mountain Daredevils.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Jackie Blue.
Oh, yeah. If you want to get to heaven,
That's a
you got
good
to raise
tune,
a little
man.
hell.
That's a killer tune. That's a.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just
Gabriel
thought that
listens
was
to
cool
that
how there's
late
like
at night.
offshoots of Southern Rock. I wanted to mention that one for sure.
Yeah. No, the good mentions, man.
Actually, they Cowboy is on that Greg Allman solo live record
Okay.
from '75, I think,
Hmm.
and he plays a couple songs with Cowboy on
Okay.
there. I think they opened
Nice.
that tour.
Hmm.
Nice. Yeah. Like if you try to look them up on the internet, you type in Cowboy Band,
It's
it's
tough.
like you can't
It's
get
tough.
nothing.
Yeah,
So the
if you go
only
on
way I can find stuff is
Yeah.
Cowboy Boyer Talton, Talton.
RDO only has Five Will Get You 10, which is their second record. The
Okay.
first
It's an
one
awesome
on
album
the
title,
first one on
right?
Capricorn.
Yeah.
And it's numeral 5'LL, which makes it even
Okay.
awesomer.
Yes.
5 will get you 10. But yeah, that's the only one that's on RDO. But
Nice.
Nice.
Well, yeah, and so I was going to.
Yeah, we're talking about
mention-
some of the lesser known acts.
Yeah, that was one thing I kind of wanted to mention. That and how in the 80s and 90s there was like a rebirth. Obviously, one of our favorite bands, the Black Crowes, came out of that. Kind of like a precursor to them were the Satellites, the Georgia
Satellites are
Satellites.
good.
yeah,
For sure. I consider them a Southern rock band.
Driving and Crying.
Driving and
I-
Crying.
I
Yeah.
I think Driving and Crying I go back and forth on in terms of being Southern rock. I think they're actually a bit more just kind of independent rock and punk, but at the same time, it's totally the mentality. And I consider Kevin Kennedy the poet laureate of Southern rock.
There we go.
He's a good one.
Nice.
But no, I think Kevin Kenny's contributions to rock and roll in the South and overall.
Them Southern rock.
And with the Crows, I think you can label Shake Your Moneymaker Southern rock.
Oh, definitely.
Nothing else did. They evolved beyond it after that.
I mean Southern Harmony
Some parts
to an
of Southern
extent.
Harmony.
Definitely.
Well, any album Chuck Leavell's on is gonna
What's
be
that,
called,
Levi?
I said any album with Chuck Leavell is gonna be called Southern rock.
Right.
I think what happens though, because Southern rock kind of embraces this. Levi, you mentioned it. This kind of ballad mentality, and it's like the blues ballad, and it's not just a blues song, but it's also this ballad that gives you a lot of room for instrumentation. And and it's like Bad Luck, Blue Eyes Goodbye, that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of the Allman stuff is, a lot of that is just it's ballads. When you really break it down, and when it's not, it's just she's driving, guitars, tour de force sorts of stuff. And because I think Levi, you mentioned it with Elvin Bishop.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, and what's funny is Elvin Bishop, I consider Southern rock boogie. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like he's definitely from that boogie vein of the Southern rock. And
you can put Black Oak, Arkansas in
his biggest hit. His biggest hit is a ballad.
Yeah,
for sure.
With Mickey Thomas singing it.
Yeah, Fooled Around and Fell in Love. Great junior high dance song for the ages.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Levi. That's a segue next to mine here. You mentioned Southern yacht rock and some of the lesser known acts. I'll go another sort of corner of Southern rock, Southern fusion.
Yes.
All right, which
that's a
I think
big
does
part
exist.
Of
it. Yeah. I mean, obviously the Allmans. It starts with the Allmans had a jazz influence.
Oh, and every time that they had an instrumental on an album, it was nominated for a Grammy. They were always nominated for their instrumentals.
Right. So the Allmans had a big jazz influence, big Coltrane influence on the Allmans, right? And so two bands that really where the jazz was more prevalent than the rock, I guess, sort of, for lack of a better degree. Two bands that I've been listening to a lot of lately. Sea Level with Chuck Leavell. Their first couple records are great that came out. And then also another band, Dixie Dregs, who I like a lot.
Steve
Morris is a really good guitarist.
Yeah.
So Free Fall is great if anybody hasn't picked it up lately, and Night of the Living Dregs is awesome as well.
Yep.
They've got about 3 records though from their golden era, like late 70s to early 80s that are just great. I've been listening to the hell out of them lately, and they're a talented crew. It's funny that we mentioned that. I was thinking about this the other day. Steve Morris, the guitarist from Dixie Dregs, and kind of the brainchild of it, one of the brainchild children of it. He plays in Deep Purple now. Steve Morris does, and his influences are a lot like Tommy Bolin's. Bolin also had a fusion, jazzy influence, and also Tommy Bolin played in Deep Purple as well. So. Just the versatility.
Yep.
I have an album
fusion
of
influences. If there's any guitarist that reminds me of Tommy Bolin, it would be Steve Morris.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
I have an album from '82 of theirs called Industry Standard. That's really good.
Yeah, I like them all, man. They all sound kind of similar, but they're all good.
You know what you're getting.
Steve Morris has always kind of been a guitar player's guitar player.
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
Have you guys seen him too, man? Buff.
Oh, really?
Steve Morris is in really good shape, dude. He's definitely like
lick and kick
after they get done playing Deep Purple every night, he's doing crunches or something.
Gotta stay healthy on the road, bro.
Yeah. So
now I think that the fusion and the jazz influence on Southern rock is really important. I think it's a big deal, and obviously bands like Sea Level took it to another.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and part of that fusion. The Southern rock fusion is right where that yacht rock they butt up together.
Yeah. That Sea Level.
I mean?
God, what's it called? Their third record or so. That's it's got all them on a dock on it. So obviously it's not good, right?
Right? It's gotta be.
I forgot what it's called offhand.
I think I have that one.
You know what I'm talking about? It's from '79. It's shit. What is it? Hold on.
But I think when you have more than one of those guitars going, it's inevitable that you're going to get that fusion sound, because you're matching the guitars. You know, Dwayne and Dickie would do it all the time.
Yeah.
But you match those guitar licks, and then you kind of go off onto your own thing simultaneously, and then all of a sudden it's like that very easily gets into the fusion realm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, right, and that's rooted in jazz. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
The album's called "Long Walk on a Short Pier."
Okay.
Is the album I was thinking of, and it definitely goes into more of the yacht rock territory. Like, it sounds a little bit less like, you know, Dixie Dregs and more a little bit more, you know, I don't know, Seals and Croft or something.
Yeah,
but at least a couple of the tunes.
Well, and the Dregs were a really good bridge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They came along towards the end of the 70s.
Right.
And went into the 80s, early 80s. And,
Exactly,
and
yeah.
they kind of helped bridge the sound of Southern rock
Mhm.
from then to there. So the bands, like I said, like the Satellites came along and they kind of took the helm for a while. The Kentucky Headhunters,
Yeah.
I consider them like a
They're
Southern
fun,
rock. I mean,
Yeah.
they were played on country radio, but if you listen to it, it sounds like Southern rock.
I think so. Yeah.
Pride and Glory with
Pride
Zach
and Glory.
Wild.
I think that was a seminal album
Yeah.
for the next phase of Southern rock.
I know
Absolutely.
all three of us are big fans of that one.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in a heavier note as well, you know, I think the first Down record is great, NOLA from '95.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's, if there's Southern metal, that's
and so perfect
Yeah.
segue, bro, because there was a band that kind of was the bridge from that, and that was a band called Raging Slab. And I mentioned them in a previous podcast. And
Yeah.
Raging Slab, I mean, for stereotypical purposes, they were considered Skynyrd meets Metallica.
Mm-hmm.
And so that allowed bands then, you know, there was bands like Down, which obviously
That's like Skynyrd meets Sabbath.
Well,
Yeah.
and if you want to, you know, Down's the father of Down is Pantera.
Oh, yeah.
Pantera is a metal band, but Pantera is a Southern rock band.
Oh yeah,
It
there's
just
a
happened
strand
to
of Southern
be
rock
a
in
lot more
Pantera.
distorted.
Big one, actually. Yeah. Yeah, man, absolutely. And look, is there like a new class of people? I mean, I would consider maybe, like Jonathan, you mentioned when we were talking earlier about Band of Horses, that you know they're from. I mean, they're based in Charleston now, and you know some of their songs it's more pronounced than others, but it's there. You know, I mean, it might just be you know in an eyedropper rather than a big spoonful, but it's there. Also, Jason Isbell. To a certain degree, you know, with particularly his work in Drive By Truckers, but even his solo stuff as well.
MMJ.
Yeah, and My Morning Jacket, you know, to a certain degree. I mean, like, in My Morning
Yeah,
Jacket.
like I would agree with all this. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
I think like a true Southern rock band, I think is still hopefully in a garage somewhere with like long fucking hair.
Yeah.
And 3 guitars somewhere trying to play that type. You know what I mean? I'm going to always hold out that there's another American Minor out there.
You like those guys, man.
Just so I can mention them. They're one of the best bands that never fucking made it.
They're a good one, man.
If you're into Southern rock, that record is excellent.
It is a good one, man. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Another band that I don't know if you guys have heard. I don't know if they're like kind of like a part-time thing now or not. They kind of got a little bit of buzz a few years ago. It's almost like gothic Southern rock, but like gothic in the lyrical content. But you know, there's kind of some ambience to it. Like there's if there's like a Southern Radiohead, it might be them. There's a band called Dead Confederate. I don't know if you guys have ever heard.
I've actually heard of them.
Yeah, and like I said, they might just kind of be a part-time thing now. I don't really think they're that active anymore. They had a little bit of buzz about 4 or 5 years ago, and I check it out. It's definitely unique. You know, it's like, I mean, the songs are kind of slow and kind of just sort of droney, but at the same time, you know, like it's got like, you know, the howling guitars as well, but they howl slowly. You know, I recommend checking them out. I think you guys might dig them.
Right on.
It's definitely not your upbeat Southern rock.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
And
But,
I mean, and that's that's what I'm a sucker for is the 2 or 3 guitars and a piano and a singer strutting around kind of a thing. And
Marshall Tucker. We haven't talked about Marshall Tucker.
Right. I was going to mention we have
one of the best.
We saved one of the best for last, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I like the
I don't
Outlaws
understand why they are not mentioned in conversations with being as big as Skinner.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't see how Marshall Tucker Band didn't eclipse them, but they didn't.
Well, they were like Tucker was more like the Allmans in the sense that they were jazzier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
saxophone, prominent saxophone, flute.
Yep.
Definitely. Yeah, they were more like the Allmans. Another band that of kind of one of the bigger names of Southern rock mentioned. Everybody obviously mentions the Allmans and Skinner first, and then kind of you get to Tucker, the Outlaws as well. Their mid-70s stuff is really solid. It's more like Skinner in the sense that it's poppier and it's a little more radio friendly.
Yeah.
But I've got a couple of their live bootlegs, and they jam live really good. I mean, the Green Grass and High Tides are like 20 minutes and stuff. And I honestly, I think for like a Southern rock pop tune of the 70s, I think There Goes Another Love Song is like one of my favorite tunes.
Yeah.
It's just a ripper,
that
man.
song is the birth of 38 Special.
Yeah.
Without that song, there is no 38 Special.
Yeah. Yeah, really good. And they've got an underrated live record too. It was recorded actually down the road here at the Aragon. Some of it was. It's from like '78. God, the title of it escapes me at the moment. It's the classic '70s double live, But yeah, it's good. I recommend it as well. It's
they were a great band.
Yeah, I like the Outlaws a lot. Less of a jazzier element, but certainly.
So we haven't really discussed the impact of Warren Haynes or Government Mule on Southern rock.
Yeah, because there's a lot of ground.
Because I think one of the most important contributions of Warren Haynes' career is resurrecting the Allman Brothers in the late 80s and early 90s, where he took on a lot of the burden of the songwriting and got them going again. Yeah, Seven Turns, Bringing It All Back Home. I mean, that's what got me into the Allman Brothers.
Oh yeah, and their live albums from then are excellent.
Yeah.
First, second set, right.
That second set,
yeah. What it really kind of gave it a whole nother boost throughout the '90s, where the Allmans were incessantly touring.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and they kind of rebuilt their legacy, definitely.
And it also set up this. This line of guitarists that would come through the Allmans, along with Derek Trucks and so forth, to kind of build a reputation. And then Alan Woody and Warren Haynes were able to do by forming Government Mule on the side. And I think they're definitely part Southern rock, but a lot of other things. You talk about jazz and blues. But really
the Allmans are rare in the fact that they got a second chance like that. You said, because not a lot of bands do. I mean, and that goes to show how good Warren Haynes and Alan Woody were. Because Skinner, why couldn't Skinner do it? You know what I mean? Skinner didn't have someone come into the band that had that much talent.
Right.
They could write good material.
That's what I mean.
Skinner, it's been legacy for the last 30 years.
Yeah. And so, why didn't Skinner ever try and get somebody in the 80s or 90s fresh? And create a new legacy for themselves,
like put Dan Seals,
and that's why I think that's where they're at.
Dan Baird and Skinner or something, Anyway,
that's why Skinner is the band we do not like today, because they never took that fucking leap. They never took that chance to try and create a new legacy for themselves. They rode on the coattails of their past.
Absolutely, well put, Levi. Yeah. So, but Warren is certainly extremely important to regional music, but also just music, rock and roll in general. But he's a guy that we talked about a little bit on the show. I don't listen to him as much as I used to.
Right.
But certainly he's got a special place.
He's an untouchable in the Hall of Fame for sure.
Absolutely. Yes. Excellent. All right.
We could go on and on and on. I mean, Widespread Panic, even like what they were able to do as a jam band.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we won't go on all night, but do you guys
we missed? We need
That's
to.
what
We
I'm
need
saying.
to. I want to hear from people who
let
we've
us
missed.
know
Yeah.
online.
If there's some Southern rock out there that we didn't cover tonight, that's good. Just please post it on Facebook, or you can tweet to us. We're at Rock In. That is Rock In, as in Nomar Garcia-Pera was a great shortstop. I don't know.
Maybe North Mississippi
guys,
All-Stars.
I really need to start writing these down.
Yeah.
But anyway, at Rock In Chew on Twitter and Instagram, and then also like us on Facebook. Please share any Southern rock acts that we didn't get to tonight that you like. We'll get to that portion of the show now where we talk about something we've been listening to lately. So, Levi, why don't you start us off, man? Do you have a recommendation for everybody?
Yeah, here. Let me pull it. Dun, dun, dun. It is the first album by a band called The Blasters.
Oh, nice. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
It's excellent. Dave and Phil Alvin, kind of keeping the Southern rockabilly thing, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
They were keeping that thing going. This is like 82 or something like that, 81. So they definitely, it wasn't popular at the time to go out and see a rockabilly band in 1981. They had played in Springfield last weekend, believe it or not. Somehow Springfield, Illinois got Phil and Dave Alvin. Just Phil and Dave.
Okay.
But I would assume they played some Blaster stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they've got back together and done a tour, and the Knights of Columbus Hall in Springfield, Illinois somehow got them to play there. And so I was kind of bummed that I couldn't go, but I was at the record shop, and I was thumbing through new arrivals and saw that, and it was $2, and it's like brand new. So yeah, Blasters, nice. There you go.
Nice.
Little fun fact, I believe it was Dave. I think it was Dave. Dave Alvin wrote Long White Cadillac that became a hit for Dwight Yoakam.
Ah, nice.
All right. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I'll segue into an album I also bought in the state of Colorado, in Denver, and this is John Hammond's Southern Fried. John Hammond, traditionally a blues artist through and through, but Southern Fried is one of his deep forays into electric, full band music. And this actually, Duane Allman is on about 4 songs on here. And John Hammond is one of my favorite blues artists of all time. And the way he interprets these songs, and it's Southern Fried in a pretty literal sense, in that he's turning these traditional blues songs into more Southern rock songs. And it's fun to hear him tear it up, along with Duane Allman on a few cuts too. So, and it's kind of hard to find, but it is on iTunes.
Yeah, I've never seen that one.
Yeah, I've only ever seen it at a place I happened to stumble upon it in Denver.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm going to give a recommendation that's a little bit in the vein of what we've been discussing tonight. And, Levi might remember, this is actually one of the first concerts I ever saw. Levi and I saw it in 93. Marty Stuart, Hillbilly Rock.
Yeah.
If you Marty Stewart's respected. He's obviously this album was a big country album when it came out in 1989, I believe. Yeah.
I would say with the passing of all the giants that we've had now, like George Jones and Johnny Cash, he's kind of revered now as one of the elder statesmen of country music.
And he's such a, he's kind of like Ricky Skaggs in the sense that he's big. He can play bluegrass too if he wants to. Yeah. He's a good songwriter. I've seen him live before, and his band smokes. But yeah, check out if you're looking to have a little bit of fun, but not to get too corny. Check out Hillbilly Rock from 1989 by Marty Stuart.
Yeah.
I think you'll have a lot of fun. He does "Cry Cry Cry" by Johnny Cash. It's a really solid record, man. Perfect length at 10 tunes. For an LP like that. So
well, and obviously he had a long career after that record.
Yeah,
But that was a really cool era of country where they were kind of giving anybody who had talent a contract. Like,
Right.
it didn't necessarily matter what you looked like.
That was really, yeah, exactly. That was really before it started to go south.
Yeah, I mean, there were people
yeah.
like Sammy Kershaw and Colin Ray, and
Right.
I mean, there were people that necessarily weren't Ken dolls, but they became popular country music artists.
Sure, and yeah, and Stewart's a good player. He tears up the Telecaster as well. So yeah, check out Marty Stuart, Hillbilly Rock. Don't be afraid of it. You know what I mean? Like you might think, this really isn't for me.
No, you'll be watching it on YouTube. Next thing you know, you're watching some Dwight Yoakam. Then you're going to like
nothing wrong with that.
Deep 80s, whatever. That's how it starts. Just check out the Hillbilly Rock.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. It'll open a good Pandora's box of stuff for you. So anyway, all right, dudes. Lots of fun. So anyway, best of luck going forward in the playoffs, guys. We'll definitely have a lot to chew on for the next episode.
All the listeners out there, look for some Southern Rock mixtape sides we might be making.
Yes.
Soon as well. Cassettes, kind of commemorate the episode.
Crank them up in the office or at home. So yeah. Anyway, had a lot of fun. Follow us, guys, on Twitter and Instagram at RockNChew. Also, you can check out our website, which is actually really probably the place where you can find all of the things in the rock and roll Shin-Soo Chew universe.
And the newest Show Your Cards episode.
As well, rockchew.com. That'll give you that'll take you anywhere you want to go. All right, guys. Well, had a good time tonight, and we will see everybody for episode 35.
Peace.
Take care.
Hola.